What's up everyone? So today I'm going to show you how to connect Codex with GPT 5.6 in all three models to Hermes Agent. And then I'm going to show you how you could potentially use all three models. In this case, I'm going to do like a simple blog workflow, but you can use it however you want. So what I like to do when starting any sort of project is to actually go into the projects of the new desktop app and create new project. Now what this allows you to do, it allows you to work in the project folder. So I'm going to call this one Hermes blog Codex walkthrough, and then you can add your folder. In this case, it's that one right there for me. And then I have just a simple kind of walkthrough that we can follow along with. That's going to be the idea MD. And then I'm just going to create the file. So now what you get is a project to work in, and you can see it in your right hand side. You can also edit this however you want. It's more for coding, but I find it's actually pretty great for just working in even just for blog writing, because sometimes your sessions get all over the place. So you can actually even just edit this too. You can edit the appearance, make a little flame, whatever. Maybe they'll give us some more stuff to work with in the future. So the first thing to connect, and you can follow along here, what we're going to do first is hook up GPT 5.6. This will give us access to Sol, Terra, and Luna, and you can just easily select it from your model selector down here. Now, so to connect Codex, it's very simple. You just go to Settings, you go to Providers, and you don't need an API key or anything. It'll just use your usual login. As you can see, it'll open a verification page in your browser. Hermes connects automatically, and that's it. So I'm already connected, but that's all you have to do. No need to go and get another API key or anything like that, but if you want to use API instead, you can. And then you'll see it. It'll show. You can search it. It'll show up as Codex, OpenAI Codex, and you have your three models here. 5.5 is here. And then you could turn on things like thinking, fast, ultra. You set it up however you like. I do like thinking and fast. I think it works best. So now that we have the first part of the setup in place, you already saw the project folder set up. So now we're going to do a little switch to Luna. And Luna is very light, so you're not going to get a lot of filler. You're going to kind of get your main points, and I'm going to use Luna to do just some simple research on the blog I'm doing. And so first what I'll do is I'll type in Codex like I did before, click Luna, and now we're in Luna. And what we're going to, the blog is going to be about using the three different models in Hermes Agent. It's going to be a blog for this video. So first, let's have Luna do some research. We need to do some research on the new GPT 5.6 models. Sol, how they can be used for different tiers of work. In this case, for blog research and writing, the project folder once it's done. And also take a look at Pollak to get a vibe for the style of blog we will be writing. And one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to ask it to launch sub-agents to do the research, one to look at my blog for style. And what this will allow Hermes to do is it'll launch two sub-agents, and so in parallel it can do two different things. The first, it can be researching for the blog, and the other is actually researching my website. So it just knows my style before we actually start writing. So let's let it do its little research. It's going to view its skills first, and then it'll start launching the sub-agents to begin its work. So now we have different tasks. It's set up different tasks for itself, and we're just let it go through its to-do list. And now, as you can see here, it has its three sub-agents. So now it can work a little quicker and divide and conquer the task that I gave it to do. In this case, I'm just having to do some simple research, but this is where Luna is good because it's not going to use up a lot of your usage. You're still using your Codex usage if you're using your subscription. And if you're using an API, it'll be cheaper. So you don't need Sol, the biggest, agentic model, just to do some basic research and light work like that. So as it does its research, the next part, and this is why it's kind of nice to have your little walkthrough next to your session, is Terra will be doing the initial draft, and then Sol will do the final polish on that initial draft. So you can see the difference between what Terra does and what Sol does. And what this two-step approach allows you to do is to use a lighter model to get that first draft, and then essentially use Sol as like your copy editor and final polisher. So you're not using your main huge model for all tasks. You can split it up, divide and conquer the tasks. If you're on a 5x or 20x plan, I guess go crazy. You can use your Sol model for everything. But even still, you might want to save Sol for larger projects, more important stuff. You don't need the lighter models to do everything. And the reason why, again, I'm using Hermes Agent to do this is because I like having my work in one spot. I have a few different profiles that I use just for different work. I don't like to, I want to just have one spot where I'm doing my work. I have a number of subscriptions, but like when it comes to the work that I do day to day, I just like it to be in Hermes. So that way I can just switch between profiles and it's all there. And plus Hermes has access to my SSH key from WordPress. So in this example, I could draft the blog, and then Hermes can actually just go draft it to my WordPress. And then I can go look at it, confirm everything looks good, change anything if I want to, and publish it. Or I can just publish it directly from Hermes. Also, Hermes has access to my YouTube API. So like as I'm recording this video, this is the video. So I'll drop my video file in here afterwards, and it'll edit the video. So everything is going to go into this one project folder. It's going to have the blog, it's going to have the research, it's going to have my video, it'll have the SRT file, it'll have everything. Eventually I'll put like the featured image in here. So it's really nice that Hermes is just this one spot to do everything. So it's nice to have it all in one spot, and plus I can use a model like Luna to coordinate editing the video. It's like the orchestrator. So these are the benefits of having your Codex subscription in here instead of having, working in ChatGPT for one thing, working in Hermes for another thing, working another subscription for another thing. You can just use your subscription at no extra cost for Codex right here. I think that's really nice, and it's still doing some research and outlining its report structure, so we'll let it continue working, but that's essentially the idea behind how this all works. One drawback to Codex I will say is that I wouldn't say its tool calls are the fastest in Hermes. If you want something super fast, you can use like DeepSeek and just different models you can use. So let's actually, while it's doing its research, if you ever want to just about finish up, and what it did was actually like read the articles. So that's why it took a minute. It's doing some very in-depth research for us. So yeah, now we have that research here, and it's quite substantial, really in-depth work. So it took its time, but I'm just kind of breezing through this, not really reading too many details, but we have links here. Looked at my blog, it knows my audience, voice, article structure. It has everything. So with Luna, a light model, it breezed through that in 5-6 minutes. Not too bad. And then it's right in that project folder. And that's the beauty of working in a project folder and not just a regular session. it's now in here. Okay, let's move on to the next part of the project here. So we're going to start a new session. I'm not sure what it's still running here. Looks like it's kind of... Okay, it looks like it's still doing a little bit of final research. But that's okay. We can let it finish up, and it's just finishing up some research. That's fine. We can launch another session at the same time. We can actually another cool feature is we can actually open a split session. This is new in Hermes. You can actually, so now we can let it finish up on the left-hand side, and we can type in Codex here. We can pull up our Terra model, and we can just tell it, look at the research in the project folder, and idea MD. We need to draft a blog for the video about using the GPT 5.6 models. Okay, now it actually, while that was finishing up, it just added a little like style memo. Cool. All right, and we can now launch that at the same time. And if we want to review the session, see what it did here, we can do all that. So another cool little feature from Hermes and News Research is now you can have these two. So the new session is now, Terra is now looking at the existing project details. It's just looking at everything, searching the files, then it's going to give us a draft. So let's let it summarize and check back when the blog is done. Okay, so after a few minutes of working, it gave us a little blog draft to look at, and again it drops it right in our project folder, so we have to go find it somewhere. It's just finding some things. Okay, cool, thanks. And here's the draft here, right here. And yeah, now, so based on the initial research, it already knew what my voice was based on how I usually write my blogs on my website. It knows what the video is about. It has the research already. So I was able to look at all that and just pretty much give me the explainer for the same video that I'm recording right now. Kind of like meta commentary here, but that's where Terra is really good at. It was able to, look at everything across the board, put it all together, and maybe it took 4 or 5 minutes, but I think while you're in the middle of your workday and you want a blog just to be drafted in the background, that's great. And I think it looks pretty solid. I didn't read it word for word yet. I'll probably do that after I finish recording. But now we can actually look at how Soul will finally give it that extra polish. I think it already looks pretty solid, but let's start a new session here. Now let's go into our Soul model. So we type in Codex again, Soul, and the instructions will be look at the blog draft, act as an editor, look for repetitiveness, M dashes, no M dashes, do not want M dashes, I hate those. Look for repetitiveness, M dashes, any areas to adjust flow and smoothness, human sounding. Sometimes AI has these like tenses, these certain verbiage that doesn't really sound great. So have it look for that. And what I do after anyways, I read through it and edit it anyway myself. But I think having Soul as my copy editor here will help me eliminate so much editing later on. Any areas to just that. Keywords that could be used better in headers. Over complicating and explaining. And in general. So let's create a new final draft. Don't write over the existing one. I like having both versions. So let's launch Sol now to go complete our final task here in this little blog writing session. But, you know, it just depends on what you do. You can really, combine models in a number of ways. That is the beauty of having something like Hermes Agent, where it's model agnostic, and you can connect a number of different subscriptions or API keys, and it just makes your whole workflow very flexible and gives you a lot of variety and customization. If you want something straightforward, stick with GPT 5.6. You have all three models, but if there are areas where you can say, I can speed this up here, switch to another model. Switch to DeepSeek V4 Flash for the initial research. It'll fly through it. DeepSeek V4 Pro will fly and completely rip through that and give you a good draft, or even DeepSeek V4 Pro for both the initial research and also that initial draft. It's inexpensive enough that you can use that Pro model there. I think that the key is that you just want to be starting new sessions throughout the process. So it kind of gives it like a fresh look. Every time you start a new session, it's like starting fresh. So it kind of like makes it like quality check itself every time you start a new session. So I think that's really cool. And again, being in the project folder, you have all your chats here. It's all in that main work tree. We're not coding, but it's in that work tree. You have all your documents here. So, you don't have to worry about going to find it in, all of your sessions later. If, you start doing more. This is a new profile I created for myself, so it's not too crazy yet. But if you have 100 sessions, you just go into your project, and then you have your chats right there, and they're easy to find. So, okay, so let's see what it did in its final draft. This is why I like Sol. Let's see that final polish it gave it. So it reduced some repetition across the model explanations, tables, and mistakes, FAQs, and conclusion. So it was able to cut out 400 words, so just some extra fluff that was in there. It reworked the title, slug, and meta description, and headers around stronger keywords, so less bland and more specific. So that's cool. Blog workflow source cool. It simplified over-explained sections. That was something I asked it to do. It improved transitions, made the writing more direct and natural. What I asked it to do, like none of that AI phrasing and fluff. Like it's just annoying. I'll take it out anyway later, but this did it for me. So let's actually take a look at it here. As you can see, we have our final draft right here, and we can review it right in the chat. So I'm just going to breeze through it quickly because I don't need to sit here and read it for 10 minutes with you, but let's just quickly look through it. I think overall it looks okay. Setup has a setup process. It seems a little tighter already. That's good. Has a little evidence ledger. Cool. It's walking through the step-by-step process. This is the process we just went through right now. It's kind of funny recording this video and writing the blog for it at the same time. But yeah, we can already see it's a little shorter, a little more compact. Not so much fluff. I could probably get rid of a couple of these FAQs. Don't need all of them. But overall, yeah, I think we have all our links in here. This looks a little more polished and straightforward, less over-explaining. So yeah, I think that's good. Here's that initial draft if we just want a quick comparison. Even in the introduction, let's go through the draft quickly. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty similar. It just made those minor edits that we were asking it to make. It cut out a few hundred words. These aren't major edits, but yeah. So that's how I would use the three models. And then what we can do as the final bit, and we have our finished blog here. We can compare with like that. If you want to actually compare, you can have both files open like that, and you can actually read through it at the same time. You don't have to go like open separate files on your monitor, but could if you want. Okay, so as one final bit, let's get it to draft to my WordPress website. For this, I do want the bigger model. So use my SSH key for Jason Pollak marketing and create a draft. Actually, we have to double check if it has my SSH key in this profile. I don't know if I actually gave it to it yet. Let's see if it can find it from my main profile. Seems like it has it. That is the one thing. If you use different profiles, you sometimes have to share your keys and API keys and connections from profile to profile. This was a duplicate of my original one, so I believe it does actually have it. So something to keep in mind if you use Hermes with different profiles. Sometimes you don't want every profile to have the same thing. Sometimes you do. Looks like in this case it does in fact have it. And I want to use the big model for this because make no mistakes. I don't want to run a smaller model with less reasoning. I want it to have the full power. Now, could it probably get away with using a smaller model for this? Probably. It's essentially copying and pasting, but there's a lot to navigate in WordPress. I mean, it has to make some terminal calls here. As you're seeing, it's running those. So for me, I'd want to use the big model here. And so we're going to let Sol handle this part. And let's give it a minute just to draft it, then I'll actually show you the draft. Okay, so we're back, and just to show you the final draft quickly, so the WordPress draft was created. It gives me the idea, the ID, the link, everything it did. And let's just open the draft so you can see it here in WordPress. And here it is. We can go in and edit it. It doesn't have the image yet or anything. That still needs to be added. But just to show you what it did, yeah, and it looks perfectly fine. We won't need a table of contents because that auto injects, so we can just get rid of that. I have a table of contents plugin, so we don't need that. Yeah, I'll probably go through this and just give it a little final polish myself with my own eyes and writing. But yeah, I'll have to add the YouTube link. We can save this for now. And that's the whole workflow. So there you have it. One project folder, 3 chats, 3 models, and you can just let this run in the background as you do other things throughout your day, and then give it the final edit when you're ready. And just so you can see how much usage that burned through, about 15%. So really not too much. And I even have an extra reset available. So yeah, not too bad for a full blog workflow. If you have a larger subscription, then really it's nothing at all. And like I said, you can use other models interchangeably throughout this. So pick and choose what you like. I hope that kind of gives you an explanation of how to use the different GPT 5.6 models, or just other models you can use in those flash, medium, and bigger tiers, depending on what models and subscriptions and APIs you have. But that's the beauty of Hermes. It's very customizable. Use it any way you like. Use whatever models you want. But yeah, there you go. And we can even have it create a featured image for the blog. One other thing you can do with the Codex model is that it'll create you a featured image. So while that generates, you don't need to watch that part. You'll see the final thing when it's done, but Codex has that image generation feature, so you have the full workflow, start to finish. And yeah, as you can see, it's getting started on that. And I'll fast forward to the final image, but that's it. That's all for this time. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe, share it. I have some other videos about other cool things you can do with Hermes. Give them a watch, and I'll see you next time. Cool, and we have our little featured image here. There you go. Anyway, all right, that's it. That's the last thing I promise. I'll see you next time. Later.